This is a Clouds Weather Alert.
Good Tuesday afternoon, everybody. Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center with a severe thunderstorm warning issued for parts of Leon and Gadsden counties here until 4 o'clock. Kind of popping up here and going severe. You'll sometimes see this as we get closer toward the summertime months here, really, as we're looking, and we're seeing that right now toward areas of Tallahassee, getting some reports of even a little bit of hail in here over the last few minutes in the chat session at the FDEP building there near I-10 and Capitol Circle Northwest. Penny-sized hail was reported there. So getting that into the Weather Center over the last few moments, and you do see some pretty nasty weather here right around Northfleet. This is a warning for 60-mile-an-hour wind potential and quarter-size hail. Talking about Tallahassee, Midway, Tallahassee Community College, Macon Community Park, over toward the Tallahassee. It looks like airport there, even not really the main airport we're talking about, but you kind of get the idea here as we're looking over toward Killarney Estates under this as well, as you kind of get the idea on what's going on here this afternoon. But again, I'm going to continue to watch things very carefully here. I know we're looking at the Doppler radar right now. You can kind of see what's happening here. You can kind of see what's happening within the technology with some of these stronger winds. Maybe even a moment ago we were seeing a little bit stronger winds here within the Doppler radar algorithms even there. So maybe a downburst, something like that even could have occurred there to the south of I-10. But just trying to get the latest in here. It looks like a couple penny-sized hail reports coming on out. So just trying to keep you guys up to date on exactly what's going on here this afternoon. Just trying to make sure you guys know exactly what is happening here in the Weather Center. But again, going to continue to watch things very carefully here with this severe thunderstorm warning. Hopefully it doesn't last too long, but we've had some hail reports here in this area and enough here in the metro to prompt this severe thunderstorm warning here until 4 o'clock. So since it's in the metro here like this, we wanted to jump on because it is impacting folks here. Maybe trying to get ready to go home this afternoon or head home from school even. That could be an issue for sure here as we're looking at the current Doppler radar technology viewpoint out of Tallahassee. Again, it looks like the airport was technically included under the warning here, but it looks like the worst of this is toward the north and west. Just kind of looking at the nomenclature here, a little bit different than normal it looks like here, but you kind of get the idea as we continue to watch things. Again, a severe thunderstorm warning. The storm at 3:28 was located near Tallahassee Community College there, or near Tallahassee and nearly stationary. So I know I want to get this warning out here pretty quick for this area. So we're watching this carefully. We're watching some other storms here as well. There's now a significant weather advisory for another cluster here. This is how this one started out. We were just watching 30-mile-an-hour wind potential and pea-sized hail, but that's what we're seeing down toward the south now here, and we ended up seeing the area to the north upgraded to a severe thunderstorm warning with 60-mile-an-hour wind potential and a quarter-size hail as a threat as well. So watching this action here locally. I know there's also some national weather stories happening here too. So let me go ahead and kind of switch gears here real quick. I know we do have some action toward southern Georgia, but it's been mainly outside of our area here with the worst anyway. It has been with the warnings. We've seen a couple warnings above here. I know right now there's one as we're looking there as by the Charleston office. So you can see that yellow polygon there to the southwest of Savannah around Glenville, Georgia. But really the bigger story even is as we get further on up toward the north. I know there's a tornado watch here in play, and that goes all the way until about 9 o'clock tonight. I'm talking about Cincinnati, Ohio, Columbus there in that state as well. You can see over toward Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So definitely watching this thread here. You can see some pretty big hail reported there near, it looks like Lancaster, Ohio. Now we're going to continue to watch that. Now the reason the logo is red is for tomorrow actually toward Oklahoma. We're going to keep watching things because there is a threat tomorrow toward Oklahoma. And even another threat on Thursday before it kind of gets our way a little bit before it kind of weakens on out a little bit more, which will obviously be a good thing. But we'll continue to watch the situations carefully as they evolve. I know there's a threat of a stronger tornado or two as we get toward southern parts of Oklahoma. I know we'll kind of touch on this later on a full update here, but again, I'm talking about Oklahoma City, Norman, Wichita Falls, Lawton, and more tomorrow under a threat for an isolated stronger tornado. So we're going to continue to watch for that. I know today's a big anniversary in Oklahoma, actually going back 23 years, May 3rd, 99, a historic tornado event there the first big more tornado happened that day. So it's that time of year for severe weather nationally. But the reason we're actually on right now is for a local situation. We have a random warning here right in toward the metro of Leon County right now. You can see this polygon issued at 3:28, a severe thunderstorm warning for east central Gadsden and central Leon counties here. Again, we're talking about areas around Tallahassee, Midway, Macon Community Park. You kind of get the idea here with this warning. Again, continuing to watch the situation carefully. I know just looking here at everything that's happening within the Doppler radar, trying to see exactly what could be going on. In fact, it may be a good idea here in a moment to pull up some of those cameras. So we'll do that here momentarily. We'll try to pull up some of those Florida 511 camera perspectives that we sometimes do here in severe weather coverage. So we're going to continue to watch things here, obviously, as the situation does continue here with this warning in play, at least for the next little bit. Eventually, I think it'll be enough below the severe criteria for them to drop, but it seemed like it might have actually peaked out a few minutes ago. That'll happen this time of year, and you always can go to cloud_WX on Twitter for those alerts immediately as they come on out. But again, watching some nastier weather conditions here at times this afternoon here toward parts of Leon and Gadsden counties. Let's go ahead and see. I'm just checking the cameras right now, see if there's anything worth pulling up here on the screen, seeing if we have some good perspectives of the situation. It looks like some of these cameras are just more so on a slick road, which is always a concern as well. So let me go ahead and pop up right now the traffic system. Then let's go ahead and put traffic full screen. We're going to go ahead and do that here at this moment. You'll be able to kind of see what's happening. I-10 mile marker 193.9 westbound. This is actually looking southwest there. We're near the rest area there as we get there into toward this area, just on the western side of Tallahassee, really. But again, we're watching things carefully for sure. Just trying to give you guys the latest information here. Just trying to see exactly what is happening on the camera views right now. Just on the slicker roads, we have seen again reports of penny-sized hail over the last little bit, though. So that's worth noting. Even before we came on the air, we saw some of that happening before this warning came out. In some cases, that's hitting in a lot severe criteria, though. But again, just going to continue to watch things here this afternoon. It technically is not meeting the severe criteria, but we're going to continue to track things. Let's move away from the traffic system for now. We'll go ahead and continue to see what the Doppler radar is telling us here with this severe thunderstorm warning in play until 4 o'clock, so another 15 minutes. Let's go back on over right now to our other radar perspective. You can see here south of I-10 where the worst of this accident. You can see the velocities have weakened pretty significantly here over the last little bit. So if I don't see anything in the next few minutes, I might go ahead and wrap it up because we really got to peak there. The reason I came on was really because of that right there and getting some of that hail potential to develop as well. That was at 3:29, right when the warning was issued pretty much. We saw some pretty strong winds going in opposing directions, maybe indicative of a downburst even, or some just stronger winds here trying to reach down toward the surface. But you can see how it's weakened on out here at this point. So that's the good news. We are watching the step towards Liberty County. There's a significant weather advisory down there as we're going to continue to track all this here this afternoon. Of course, we'll have our full report here later tonight on all the different platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. You kind of get the idea. We'll be here to give you guys the very latest, of course, on everything that's happening here. I mean, available on all those different platforms on your screen right now, so you guys kind of get a grasp on what we're doing here. I know just going to continue to watch things as we go to the broad perspective. I do that pulled up now on another source, so let's go ahead and do that. You see our one warning here for parts of Tallahassee, really, and then you see these other pop-up areas. I mean, the one around Tallahassee didn't start out that impressive, but it became enough here to issue a warning, and then enough for us to come on because of the population there that is impacted. As we go to our surface-based CAPE, you see some of these numbers over 3,000 joules per kilogram, 3,500 joules per kilogram. So you can get some of these pop-up storms to go severe for a little bit sometimes in this type of scenario here, like we just saw toward the Big Bend of Florida. But I know Weather Service in Jacksonville giving us an update now about southeast Georgia. As line of strong storms there continuing to form north of Waycross, one line just east of Douglas and Hazelhurst, and the continued activity is moving into eastern Appleton and Wayne counties. These storms will contain heavy rainfall, small hail, and gusty winds to 40 miles an hour, and they'll continue through at least 5 o'clock. And as they track off to the east, with more activity expected as they interact with the east coast sea breeze here. And that could be something to watch just west there of the I-95 corridor in coastal southeast Georgia. So have to watch for that. Hopefully this is our only warning today. Overall, not expecting too many severe storms to really evolve here as you're in early May here in this pop-up setup. But the environment can sometimes favor that here once you get especially into those summertime months, more closer toward June there, for instance. So we'll continue to watch things. We'll continue to give you the latest updates here. Check back on the hail tracker right now. It's at 0.79 inches in diameter. It did go back up a little bit. So let's see if it's expanding a little bit off toward the west here. We'll check over the last little bit. You see how we had at one point the hail tracker actually was showing hail up to about 1.54 inches in diameter, which is pretty impressive here. I know we'll kind of go between this. You'll see it flash on you, but I just want to see when the hail was the greatest here, and that was right around North Plate. I mean, before the warning was issued even is when we were seeing some of the greatest hail, it looks like. But again, that'll happen sometimes in this type of setup. So looks like I may be trying to strengthen again a little bit further off toward the west here, away from the population. So at least that's a good thing there. But let's just see what they do with this here over the next few minutes, since we did see a little bit of strengthening, at least on that mode. The other mode isn't necessarily showing that yet, but it's by the radar, so maybe you're scared here one way or the other, whether it's just kind of giving us a false signature, if it actually is expanding here in terms of that movement there with the storminess, maybe trying to get a little bit stronger. There may be a little bit of strengthening going on again. You see a little bit of greens trying to pop back up there on toward the Gadsden Leon line. I know that other view kind of gives multiple radars here and kind of gives you guys an idea of what the algorithms are suggesting. But again, we're continuing to track the situation right there as we get toward, it looks like State Road 20, Jaybird Lane, over toward Ravensview Drive. You kind of get the idea there, a Wade Road there as we're getting toward part of Leon County right now here in the Big Bend of Florida. More Leon and Gadsden here right now. Earlier on, you can see how things were up toward the north a little bit, but I've kind of seen an erratic movement, Roy, with this development. And it almost looks like it's trying to develop toward the south and west. They were saying nearly stationary when they issued this warning. So that's something to keep in mind here this afternoon for sure. Let's see what else we're tracking here in the Weather Center. I know, again, up toward Ohio, that's going to be a big story here as we look ahead in the timeline, because unlike here, we do have some tornado parameters up there. Not expecting anything tornadic in our neck of the woods here today, but as we get up toward Ohio, that could be a different story. I mean, we have the energy, and then as you look at the significant tornado parameters, there's enough there. Granted, they actually have gone down a little bit, which could be a good sign here for later on, but there at least is a tornado watch and play for parts of Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia at 9 o'clock, and it doesn't happen every day. So we got to continue to monitor that threat here with severe thunderstorm warnings in play right now. One of them for Warren, Clinton, and Greene counties in Ohio. We have another warning here south of Columbus for parts of Fairfield, Hocking, and Pickaway counties. And then we got some more storm minutes there closer towards Zanesville there. And it looks like areas there in east central Ohio seeing this impact them right now around Zanesville. You can see some of this hail up to about 1.25 inches in diameter even. Showing up on the hail tracker, it looks like we had some history with that off toward the south and west. Again, we had in Lancaster hail upward of 2.5 inches in diameter. So that's a story up there. Haven't had any tornado warnings up there yet, which hopefully that'll stay the case. But again, there's a tornado watch in place, so definitely could see that situation change on us here minute by minute, really. So we're watching that action up there right now with the hail tracker. Let's get back on over down. You see the word Columbia, a couple pop-up warnings. A storm west of Savannah now. Peachtree City office issuing this for Toombs, Wheeler, and Montgomery counties in Georgia. And as we get toward the Big Bend, let's take a look at the rainfall over the last hour. Some areas getting close to 1 inch of rain. I know we've seen some spots get much more than that with non-severe storms over the last few days. But going to continue to watch this. A hail tracker now showing severe again. So hate to wrap it up with something like that showing up here. And yeah, it's expanded. It's definitely expanded on another mode now. So let's go to our live radar scan out of the Tallahassee site, because we may be seeing inside hail right around State Highway 20 there, Bluntstown Highway, the Wade Road, Campground, Pond Road. That could be a little bit of an issue there. As we're getting toward this area, you see our greens and reds coming together, maybe more for some stronger winds at the surface, not necessarily anything tornadic in nature, but again, going to continue to watch here as we're looking off the Doppler Radar. I know the rain chance is pretty low, but you'll just get these storms to pop up from time to time here. This time of year, you can definitely see that a purple, Roy, becoming a little more pronounced now as we go to correlation coefficient. It's hard to say, but could be seeing a hail signature in there. Just have to continue to watch. This is south of Midway, if you're wondering, but you see Northfleet there. Again, a little less population, but there are some roads out here showing up on our maps. So obviously, some people could be getting into hail to about quarter size, about an inch in diameter here. As you see some stronger winds now showing up outside the warning polygon, even seeing some pixels of 40 miles an hour here. As we get closer toward, it looks like Richter's Ridge here on the western side of this area of moisture and thunderstorm activity. So remember, when thunder roars, you want to go indoors here this afternoon. Let's go ahead and pop up this severe thunderstorm warning safety tips here. Just kind of remind people what to do because we're starting to get in that pop-up season here. We'll have these storms come and go from time to time. I know watching some storms to the south and west. Nothing too impressive there. This was weakening, but now we're seeing another area of strengthening here. As we go to Echo Tops, you won't want to see that on there, but as we go to our ZR product, you can kind of see some of those reds. Now, a little bit of interference, but we're getting some stronger storms trying to develop here, stronger updrafts, really, to help, at least for a little bit, sustain some of this action, or maybe see some of this action get down to the surface for just a little bit in the form of some hail here. That when it gets to an end, that's technically what could be damaging in nature. We had some reports just under that, 3/4 of an inch there. You see these areas there off toward the east, around the bottom of the hour there, about 30 past the hour. That was penny-sized hail, but now still seeing that threat maybe for hail closer to quarter size here, even as we get towards State Road 20. West to Northfleet, really right around Northfleet, that's what we're talking, but you kind of get the idea. We'll see if a new warning has to be issued off toward the west. Granted, this is a more rural area, so might play it by ear on whether to continue coverage or not. But of course, when we're not on air, you can always go to cloudweather.com/radar for the latest look at things within the Doppler Radar algorithms. As again, this time of year, things will just pop up. We can't really give you that much of a warning. We just tell you there's a chance of storms here in general. Even a low chance can produce an isolated warning here, and that's what we're going to start to see. Granted, there could be a more organized threat as we get toward Friday here, southern Georgia, as the system actually, some of that action coming in there. From the west, we might actually have to watch some storms trying to become a little more organized, severe toward Friday. Now, the logo is red for tomorrow, actually, toward Oklahoma. If you're wondering here, it's a national storyline that's pretty busy right now here in the weather world for sure. So, again, we're watching things right now. We're seeing pixels at pretty low levels here, 435 feet, over 40 miles an hour. Some areas here showing that for sure as we're getting south of Midway. This afternoon. So that wouldn't be severe, but our hail tracker's showing severe here as we get, and it's actually showing it pretty well now. So let's go over here. This is the latest scan on hail tracker. Doing a better job here actually with the algorithms, kind of putting everything together. I believe this definitely could be happening here. It's a pretty rural area, granted, compared to what we were tracking a moment ago, though, so that's good. As we go to the last hour, you can kind of see how things have actually evolved toward the south and west here a little bit, and you get your latest scan now. And we just got a warning in Georgia, by the way. That's that side of our covered area, really. But as we continue to watch things, you're now seeing hail. This is showing hail closer to 2 inches in diameter, so we definitely can't wrap it up with a signature like that. But we just got a warning in South Georgia. Let's just see where that is real quick if you're watching here. That's outside of our covered area, but it's still worth noting a little bit for parts of Dip Davis and Appling counties there, Hazelhurst area. Getting some severe weather. Again, outside of our coverage area, we wouldn't even be posting that. Granted, it would come up on our automated account at cloud_WX because it is a Jacksonville-based polygon. But that's outside of our covered area. We don't cover that quite that far north. But again, we're seeing a hail signature here on this radar mode now, closer to 2 inches in diameter. Granted, it may not be that big, but we have a high confidence in at least some hail occurring here in western parts, really outside of the warning. I mean, to be quite honest, it's interesting how we're seeing that outside of the warning at this point. They're gonna have to issue a new warning. I don't see a way around that unless it's really falls apart quick, which they can do sometimes. But I mean, unless the radar is just giving us really bad signature there, it seems like it wouldn't be because it matches up pretty good with the other radar here. I don't think it would go quite that high if it was a bad signature there in the hail tracker, but we're going to continue to track this, of course, as we do see that hail threat there in parts of Leon County. Again, further away from Tallahassee at this point, which is good news for the metro. Granted, there's still some rain around, as you can kind of look here, and this actually shows a good composite because it's kind of putting things together more. It's kind of putting the view together a little bit better here, I think, and not normally the case like that, but as we continue to look here, some of our different modes here within the Doppler Radar technology. Again, you see up toward the north, we have a couple warnings. Those are outside of a covered area. Granted, we could see some more development as we go closer toward the I-95 corridor later on. We'll have to watch for that. But again, with the history that's produced in hail and now getting a hail signature like we're seeing here, as we go to some of our different modes, kind of scrub around here a little bit, we have to be mindful of this situation here for sure. Again, severe thunderstorm warning in play until about 4 o'clock. So going for another 2 minutes, but at this point, but again, we probably get another new warning coming on down from the office there in Tallahassee. I know it's just a general thunderstorm risk, but doesn't necessarily preclude here some storms becoming severe on us from time to time. And wow, that's gone up to 2 inches almost on that tracker. But you see the temperatures and you see our severe threat. You have a threat even toward areas further up in the country here today that is more organized. Tornadoes, damage in wind gusts, marginal hail, all possibilities. I know there's a conditional slight risk as well as we get toward areas there toward Del Rio and Eagle Pass, Texas here. Some hail threats. The tornado threat is pretty low, but the hail threat here has enough for maybe a bigger hailstorm to evolve even in toward that area. So that'll be something that we're watching from the national perspective. But back to our storm right now. Our hail tracker actually showing hail to 2 inches pretty much now here. It's 1.97, but it's rounding up to 2 inches here. And they're going to issue a new warning, obviously, as we've kind of talked about. There's no way around it, unfortunately. They have to issue one as we're looking now 4 areas further off here toward the west. They're seeing another severe thunderstorm warning on the way for the cell sliding off west and southwest to Tallahassee. At least this is a more rural area, though, and that's something to kind of bear in mind. But with that signature, I can't wrap it up quite yet. I have to make sure things kind of come on down on us a little bit before we do so. Again, severe thunderstorm warning in play until 4, but a new warning definitely going to be coming. I see the special weather statement is issued 4:30 there a few minutes ago, but they're going to have to upgrade, and they just did, it looks like, as we're about to see a new box pop up. But I know the other warning was for 108,000 folks. Now, this warning here that's coming down, as you just see it pop on up now, is for quite a few less than that here for sure. As we're looking here more off toward areas further west, this is now moving southwest at 10 miles an hour. That's how the Weather Service in Tallahassee is tracking this. Again, trying to give you guys the latest. This is only, well, wow. That surprises me a little bit. The way they drew the polygon is still for over 100,000 folks, but really the worst of this is going to be outside the population density here of Tallahassee. So that's the good news. So let's go ahead and kind of just look. I'll show you here in a second what I'm talking about. So even though they drew the box off toward the west just a little bit here, it kind of clips the higher population density. We're not really seeing that necessarily with the road here. This is where the worst of it is. In fact, let me go ahead and see if I can put a mouse on here, and we'll kind of do that for you. So, well, let's go ahead and switch that. I know we were doing some things here the other day. I took that off, but you kind of get the idea. We're continuing to watch the situation carefully here. There's the mass. You can see here right there as we get in with some, even some blacks trying to sew up here within the Doppler Radar technology now. You can see we're tracking State Road 20, and you can see this axis drifting south and west. It's a pretty rural area, thankfully, versus the metro density of Tallahassee. But what we have a signature, like what we're doing within our technology, we can't wrap it up. I mean, that's even signature there. It looks like of a downburst probably trying to emerge there toward areas closer toward North Fleet there in parts of Leon County. Again, we're now seeing 2 inches, 2.01 there on our map. So that's pretty impressive. And this warning, though, they're just saying quarter size, so they think it's overdone a little bit. But 60-mile-an-hour winds, quarter size hail, the threats here this afternoon. You can see Tallahassee's cooled off. They're down to 76 degrees, but Bainbridge at 90, Thomasville 86. You can see toward the Keystone Airport, they're 88 degrees right now. 85 in Gainesville. You can see Citrus County, a storm developing down there as I zoom on out. It says something obviously they're watching as a hail threat. Just went down just a little bit in the latest scan here within the Doppler radar. You can see here quite a bit of lightning, frequent lightning according to our technology. But again, this is a more rural area here, which is good news. But this warning is good at 4:45. We're going to play it by ear here to see how long we want to continue because our velocity is still showing something pretty impressive here. Again, it's a severe thunderstorm warning in play until 4:45. Granted, I don't think I'm going to go that long unless this ramps back up. Earlier we thought it was going to weaken on off, but then we saw more development toward the south and west, sliding on down there, and that's why I'm going to stick with you. It looks like it kind of peaked out again because we kind of saw how things ramped up there, and now it looks like it's spreading apart. Granted, we could see more redevelopment toward the south and west here in the Big Bend, and we'll just have to continue to watch. Again, it's a more rural area than downtown Tallahassee, and it's this pop-up stuff, so a kind of a lower priority situation then. But we still have to just monitor it just in case, because you just never know what can happen in this type of situation here with maybe some hail down toward the surface. So I want to let this get down just a little bit further here with our hail tracker. Our maximum estimated hail size here is still at 1.81 inches, and that's still enough to continue coverage for the time being. But as we go back on off toward the east here, we're going to continue to track to see if more storms develop again as we look at those instability values here. You'll be able to see some of these reds over 3,000 joules per kilogram. Orange is over 2,000 joules per kilogram. The yellows getting over 1,000 joules per kilogram, really, with instability. Just kind of giving you guys an idea that the storms are in a favorable environment here because of the energy here in the atmosphere. We don't have anything like in terms of the significant tornado parameters of like what we were seeing to the north. Now, supercell composite, we're seeing a little bit, but nothing too impressive. And some other values here right now is showing up. This is a different type of environment than what you would see here with like a squall line, something like that. This is just random severe weather popping up here more in the daytime heating as we're tracking that here in early May of 2022. So again, you see this here, hail tracker, so in 1.54 inches now, could cause a little bit of damage if we're getting that big into the warning just for 1 inch. So that's the good news. Maybe not reaching the surface to that level according to the Weather Service. Things could be getting overestimated a little by our products here. But this one generally did a good job. Granted, it may have been a little bit of an issue because we're right by the radar site, but definitely was showing that storm kind of pulse on up here in the atmosphere on us for sure this afternoon as we continue to track things, continue to monitor the situation. You can see our 1 hour rainfall estimates over 1.5 inches, and that one red area there just to the west there, it looks like as I kind of zoom on in toward Houston Road, 1.5 inches in an hour there close to Gadsden, Leon line. You see some of that back up toward Gadsden a little bit in some of these latest scans, so maybe seeing a little bit of strengthening back up that way again. It's something to continue to watch. You kind of see how maybe it peaked out though, and it spread apart as it kind of scrubbing between those radar images here this afternoon. Continuing to give you guys the latest information to protect you, your friends, and your family. So again, we're at 4:06 right now. Continuing to watch things. I'm going to try to pull up another view. We haven't used this one in a while, but I think this would be helpful in this situation. We're going to go to our three-dimensional view here in about a minute, give or take. I do have that coming on up in our system right now. I think that could be helpful here to kind of just show you how this storm is developing here and has developed, and maybe it's falling apart now in terms of that 3D mode. So that'll be something that's kind of helpful here for sure as we're continuing to track the coverage with you. So just trying to see how this is kind of developing. In fact, actually, we're kind of getting some issues because we're right by the radar site. So let me go to the Moody's site then. I know it's going to be a little bit further off, but it may give us a better perspective on this in a way. So I'm going to do that here before we switch you on out to this. Might kind of give us an interesting perspective here, and yeah, I think it does. So we're going to get that ready for you here in just a second. Our cross-section analysis here. Again, haven't done this in a while, but I think this would be helpful for you guys here at home. So let me go ahead. We'll go ahead and pop that on up right about now. And you can see here how the storm has developed here vertically in the atmosphere. You can see how we're getting up there with some of these storm tops a little bit. Definitely seeing that here off toward the west of Tallahassee this afternoon. Again, trying to give you guys a different perspective on things. I know there's not a significant weather advisory, by the way, for parts of Tipton County there until 4:30. So getting closer toward Tipton even We'll continue to watch some of that accent, but let's go ahead now. Punch back this mode here on our Doppler Radar technology. Again, just seeing what's happening here with some of our different tools at our disposal. You see tipped in there, hail up to 4/10 of an inch in diameter, but the hail is coming down here, it looks like, on this storm now near Tallahassee, so that's good news. Definitely good news here as we're getting toward State Road 20 there. Let's pop that back on up here as we get to this other mode again, Bluntstown Highway. Kind of get the idea. We're watching some of this accent as we're looking here, and as we continue to give you the latest scan now, getting back to that latest scan, you can see how we've seen some of that weakening here, a little more decay here in the storminess. So that's good news. I think we're going to wrap it up for now. I know we still have a warning to 4:45, but we're seeing this in a more rural area now. We've seen it seemingly peak on out a little bit on us here this afternoon, so that's the good news. Granted, it could peak out again, and then if that happens, then we might have to come back with you once again here in the coverage. But we're just trying to do some cross sections here on the storm, and it's behind the scenes. I know, just kind of trying to give a vertical perspective on things, and actually this may be a little bit of something here that's kind of interesting. I think that's what that is. Let me double check it first. I think we're getting a little hail signature off the Moody's side. Actually, it could just be something. That might actually be something else going on, so we're not going to pop that up. But again, there may be some hail in here that's trying to reach the surface, but it seemingly has weakened off a little bit, which would be a good sign. But we can't let our guard down here, obviously, in this area. It's now dropped below an inch on our other modes. That's definitely what we want to see, a more area being impacted. But we'll continue to keep you advised as needed. If we need to come back on before our full update here in a few hours, we will. But let's go ahead and leave you with an overall look at the whole area here on this Tuesday afternoon, on this May 3rd, 2022. I know we're watching some national weather stories. Locally, it's that pop-up storminess there toward the Big Bend. Popped in a couple severe thunderstorm warnings. This one here, that yellow box, there toward the Big Bend, continues to 4:45 or parts of Gadsden and Leon. Some weakening, but still, when thunder roars, you gotta go indoors. We'll keep you advised as needed.